take you on a little journey today, because Odysseus' story is one story of the hero's journey, like the countless others that have captivated our hearts for millennia. And they have because they talk about the human experience. It is all the same, isn't it? And in our hearts, in all of our hearts, don't we all have that want, that burning desire to be heroes? I mean, I know I want to. So let's talk about being a hero. My name is Victoria Bousis. I'm a writer, director, and creative technologist. In the course of 15 years of a career in film, gaming, and technology, I have pioneered a new method to tell these heroic stories, to reimagine them so that you can re-experience them for yourselves. And no, it's not from the pages of a book or from the frames of a film. It is by stepping in the shoes of that hero, experiencing that journey for yourselves, and it's through a groundbreaking technology called virtual reality, or VR in short. Thank you very much. So Joseph Campbell, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Joseph Campbell. He codified the hero's journey in his book, A Hero of a Thousand Faces. In that book, he states that a hero goes through 12 key stages in order for them to actually be transformed. And a hero to him, and to me as well, is someone that gives their life for something greater than themselves. They start with a call to action. They're called to go on this quest, a quest that at first they refuse, but they know inside of them they must take on. They leave the ordinary world and going directly into a new world that's unknown, that's filled with danger. They undergo trials and tribulations that test their character, challenge their convictions. Along the way, they meet a mentor or a divine supernatural force that gives them that courage to continue. And in that moment where they face their greatest fear, they almost face their death themselves. They fall into the abyss of the dark side of the soul, because that is the ultimate challenge. Did they learn those lessons through all those trials and tribulations? They suffered the death of themselves, their old self, to allow the rebirth of their new self. They return back to that ordinary world, but they are now masters of that world, but also masters of themselves. They take those pieces of wisdom, those lessons learned, and they share those with the world so that others can improve their lives from those lessons. The true call of what it is to be human. So I decided that I wanted to create my body of work around these hero stories in virtual reality. And it's not because of only the fact that I have these aspirations to be heroes and I want you to be heroes. It's not only that, because numbers don't lie. So I wanted to prove this hypothesis that I had. In my time at MIT, a colleague, a classmate of mine, and I developed a very complex data analytics model. We took 40,000 films and we broke them down in various categories in order to find out what kind of films and what characteristics they had that made them blockbuster movies. As you can tell on the chart above on the right-hand side there, the films that crossed $1 billion in the box office, the ones that went on to even create $2 million in the box office, were primarily films about the hero's journey. And we know these films, right? Star Wars, Harry Potter, Titanic, Avatar, Avengers. All of these films are about this hero's journey because people bought tickets. People got out of their house, they went to that theater, and they bought it because they wanted that inspiration. And don't we need that inspiration in our world today? We need hope. We need to be empowered. The time is now. Since my years at MIT, a lot of things changed. COVID happened. Theaters closed, and many of them are actually still closed, unfortunately. We consumed all our films and TV series at home. We still do that today. And there's no crime in doing that. There's no fault in doing that. But what happens when we actually see something at home? Here is the screen, here is us, there is this distance. And in that distance, there's distraction. Our phones are vibrating, our mom is calling us, our friends are calling us, we're Instagramming, we're YouTubing, we're doing everything but being invested in those stories. Our emotions are not stirred, and if our emotions are not stirred, how are we going to be changed? When that movie ends, what are we going to take from it so that we can use it as a tool to impact the world around us? I believe the film industry is going through a crisis. They have to figure out a way to deliver powerful, new content, reimagined and re-experienced, to stir our emotions, to have us feel uncomfortable, to change us. This is where I believe that virtual reality has that opportunity. And it has that opportunity because it allows us to step inside the shoes of that main hero and actually experience that journey. We go from what I call story watching to story living. And the industry knows this, right? The industry knows that this change is actually happening from story watching to story living because the biggest companies in the world, Oculus, Sony, HTC, Pico in China, all have headsets. Apple is releasing their headset next month. So they know that change is here, this renaissance of storytelling. So, because VR is new, let's talk about how it works. And there's no better way of talking about it than kind of showing you a little something. I wanted to stream the experience, but technology has some limitations. So, this is a VR headset, if you haven't seen one before. They're much cooler now, they look a lot sleeker, and they're less heavy and less bulky. So what you do is you put this on, you tighten it up. These are your controllers. They're basically your hands in VR. So you press play, and all of a sudden, sound and music fill your headset. As you move over here, the sound changes. Like it does in real life, you actually hear your own footsteps move around. And then what ends up happening is an entire world appears before you, all around you. Just imagine if you can step inside the scene of your favorite movie. How cool would that be? Then using your joysticks, you virtually walk around. You explore. You find out about this fantastical new world. And then you could even use these controllers, because they are your hands, to grab objects, find out about them. Imagine finding out about an ancient relic. Some VR experiences even have the power of smell. You can walk up to characters this close and actually have a connection. So, what happens to our brain while we're inside this headset? What happens to it is something very profound. Our brain is a super smart computer, right? Our brain takes our various senses, all of our senses of sight, hearing, touch, sense of presence, and it computes them. And that's how your brain understands what reality you're actually living in. So if I just took all those senses and I ignited them, your brain starts believing that you are that main character, you are that protagonist, you are actually in this world, and you are actually experiencing this story. What's deeper and what is more important, and where I think the opportunity is so magnificent, is that you're also experiencing all those emotions. And your body's telling you you're experiencing them. So what happens when we experience these strong emotions of sadness and grief and surprise and wonder? What happens is we're changed. We have a new perspective about someone else's life. We have a new perspective on someone else's circumstance because we feel like they feel. This, I believe, is the moment where we cross over into our place of humanity and compassion. Wouldn't you be different if you had actually experienced someone's life? I think the world can be a bit different through a hand of compassion. So my road to coming into wearing that headset wasn't as obvious. But there was a story that I wanted to write about, but I just maybe didn't have the courage to do it yet. There was a voice in my heart, it was speaking to me, but I just wasn't listening. And it got to the moment where it became so loud that I couldn't deny it. It was my call to action. And that voice said basically, Victoria, just do it. And so I went inside my little boat and I started to paddle. And I'm paddling and I'm paddling and I'm hitting these gigantic waves of doubt, these gigantic waves of fear and anxiety and all those emotions and a lot of uncertainty. Because no one had ever done this before. No one had done an entire movie where you step in the shoes of a main character and you're not just in the world, but you're actually interacting with the world. There was no rule book. And as they say in Greek, tagatha kopistonde, in English, it's a lot shorter and more direct. No pain, no gain. Well, I suffered that pain. Thank God there was gain. And all of a sudden, these waves started to simmer, and they became quiet. And I found my shore. It wasn't actually a shore. It was actually a small village between two mountains, this village called Nestani. Nestani is actually a very special place for me. It is the place where my grandmother was born, and my mother was born. I recognize your laugh. It's a place where I grew up as a small child, visited frequently as an adult. It's a place that I just went to write my TED Talk. It's a place where I was my purest and my freest. It's a place where it speaks to my heart and a place that I call home. And in that place, I started to write that story that I had in my mind, that I had in my heart. And the words just came flowing out of me. I don't remember even writing them, to tell you the truth. And so what is the story? The story is a story about this family, a true story, about this family that was torn apart because of a war. It's a story about a father who was forced to abandon his 6-year-old son behind so that he would have a better chance at living. So in this experience of Stay Alive, My Son, we call it SAMS for short. In SAMS, it's an immersive and interactive experience where you step inside the shoes of this father. When you put on the headset, you appear outside his house. You can see his house, you walk up his door, and you meet him as a virtual human that looks like him. He gives you his prayer beads, like a koposkini. And when you take that, that is your call to action. He asks you to give him the peace he seeks. He vanishes, and you become him. You have his hands. All of a sudden, a monstrous hand breaks through the ground and pulls you through the ground, through that ordinary world, into another world where his haunting lives. His hauntings of regret. And you go inside his mental prison, and imagine that, a place where a camera can't go. You go inside his mental prison and you experience parts of his story leading up to those decisions. You experience walking through this jungle to survive while the military is shooting its weapons. And all of a sudden, an amazing branch, a mythical branch, comes and grabs you. And you start flying through the clouds towards this magnificent temple. This temple, which is symbolic for his heart. And inside there, you realized why he survived. Because he had hope to find his son again. It was love at the end of the day, the love we have for our family that keeps us going. It's the love that kept him going. Well, Stay Alive, My Son, Chapter 1, was opened and premiered in Venice last September. It went around the world across 3 continents and I think 17 or 18 cities around the world. Stay Alive, Chapter 2 just premiered in South by Southwest, the biggest festival in North America. And just recently, we won the Producers Guild Innovation Award, which is the highest award in our category. It's basically our Oscar. as I stood there watching so many people experience Stay Alive My Son, and a lot of people experience it, not just young people. There were all ages, all walks of life. And afterwards, when we removed the headset, a lot of people were crying. A lot of people just stood there. They just did not realize what had ever happened because it was their first VR experience. A lot of people even hugged me and thanked me for making this project because, as you know, war is raging. And this story of family separation is one that we're currently living. Stay Alive My Son has gone on to impact the world. It recently screened in Geneva. In collaboration with the United Nations, we were invited there to put members of state inside the headset in order to change policy making, to drive more compassionate policy making so that people realize that there's a human being behind laws. Laws are meant to serve people, not to chain people. And so, this December, my team and I will go to Geneva, where Stay Alive My Son will be screened for 3,000 heads of state. 3,000 heads of state, prime ministers, everyone related to this cause, so that families can be unified faster. I present to you Stay Alive My Son.
I was 33 years old then, summer frolics at sea. My family was my greatest strength.
Get ready. My wish is on you.
We were love. Packed of essentials, we left our home and walked for days until the trucks came to take us to the camps.
Where are we going? I want to go home.
Father who abandoned his own son.
Wear this ring to remember your father yet.
Now lives to endure the demons.
Salvation lies in oneself. All virtue and evil will have their effects on this life or the next. But if you make merry, pray for clarity, and perform good acts, then suffering ends, and you live forever free.
Thank you. It feels so good to share that with you. Oops, got a little ahead of myself there. There we go, this important photo. Well, as you know, this is a very sentimental moment for me. It's very sentimental being on the stage with you because Nastani is only 15 minutes away, where I wrote Stay Alive My Son and where this journey began. And looking back right now, you know, and all the stuff I've experienced in the last 6 months, I still can't believe it's happening. All my dreams have come true. But in a weird way, I had this sneaking suspicion that it was going to be okay, because this project has been blessed by that divine hand in that little village. And it's been blessed by my 2 mentors that gave me that courage to continue. My grandparents. And so I know they're here in this room with me. And so I want to say, so I'd like to say a few words in Greek for them, because this TED Talk is for them. Γιάν παππού, ξέρω είσαστε εδώ πέρα μαζί μου σήμερα σαν πάντα. Και θέλω να σας πω πόσο σας αγαπώ, πόσο σας επιθυμώ και πόσο σας ευχαριστώ. Και ελπίζω να είσαστε περήφανοι για την εγγονούλα σας. Όμως δεν έχετε τελειώσει τη δουλειά σας ακόμα. Grandma and Grandpa, I have a lot more things to say and I have a lot more projects to do. I want people to step inside the shoes of so many incredible heroes, heroes of the past, heroes of the present, heroes of the future. And I want you to educate yourself about other people's lives, about other people's circumstances. I want you to be inspired. I want you to know that you can be a hero. In today's world, in this crowd, I know there are modern day heroes. There are doctors, there are lawyers, there are mothers, there are fathers, there are teachers. There's so many incredible people to take from. So how do I envision the future? It is through that headset. It's a little different, but that's how I inspire change. Now, this isn't only about me. This is really about you. How do you want to inspire change? How do you envision change? Do you have this picture of yourself of who you want to be? And if you don't, it's okay. It took me a minute to get to that place. But you do it by going on that journey of self-discovery, finding that quiet place, finding your nestani, connecting to your heart, seeing your dreams, make them a reality. Listen to your voice, listen to that truth. And always remember that we don't just envision change like this idea. Change happens through hard work. It takes time. It's a process. You have to trust it. But the most important thing is you have to act and you have to keep on paddling. Just paddle your boat. Keep paddling your boat. You will find your shore. The world today is a beautiful, magnificent place that needs your voice. It needs your story. It needs your action. And remember, a hero is someone who gives their life for something greater than themselves, each other. Thank you so very much.